The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion is infamous for its leveling system.
But Oblivion is a whole other beast. I don't say this lightly or ironically. I think Oblivion is actually kind of evil. Not a malicious, intentional kind of evil, but evil nonetheless.
No system in the game illustrates the insanity of Oblivion better than simply leveling up. And let me tell you, leveling up is anything but simple here.
Oblivion Remaster sure is pretty, but frankly that's peanuts compared to its real biggest change. The new version of the RPG fixes the original's busted leveling system that forced you to grind skills you didn't care about to maximize the stat points you got.
Beyond just a few YouTubers' opinions, this is the consensus on the internet. The leveling system is evil, broken, and a problem that needed to be fixed. The main Elder Scrolls wiki, called the UESP, has an 8-paragraph essay on how terrible the leveling system is, and they title this The Leveling Problem. In this essay, they say, quote, "On the other hand, it is possible to play to high levels and have your character constantly become stronger than enemies. To accomplish this, you need to take maximum advantage of every bonus that is available to your character when you level up. In general, this requires careful planning from the time you start the game because many of these advantages are only available with specific character creation choices." The purpose of this video is to first explain what the leveling system is and how it worked in Oblivion. Next, to debunk most of the common criticisms because I believe the system to be overall a great system. And then the last step will be to talk about its actual weaknesses and flaws and how it could have been tweaked to be a better system in the remaster. As you heard from PC Gamer there, this leveling system was completely scrapped and replaced in a remaster of an old game. So first we have to explain what exactly is the Oblivion leveling system. I'll explain the basics now and the details later. At character creation, you choose 7 major skills. To increase your level, you have to increase any of these 7 major skills 10 times. Any combination of these skills will do. You also have 14 minor skills that do not contribute any way to your level progression. Each skill is tied to a specific attribute. If you notice at the bottom here, it says strength governs the skills of blunt, blade, and hand-to-hand. This means during a level up, if I increase any of those skills, I will have a higher attribute bonus for strength. The philosophy here is pretty straightforward and simple. Your character should improve by your player's actions. Swinging your sword will increase your blade skill. Jumping increases your acrobatics skill. Even falling increases your acrobatics skill. Casting healing spells will increase your restoration skill. This system now takes that one step further. You don't just increase your skills by completing actions, you also gain attributes as well based on what actions you performed throughout your level. Before Morrowind and Oblivion, Bethesda made the Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall, and Daggerfall had a very similar system for skill progression. Instead of increasing 10 skills to gain a level, you increase 15 skills to gain a level, and these skill increases happen based on your actions. It's an activity-based progression system. Daggerfall had a similar system with skill progression, where if you cast restoration spells, you would then gain restoration skill. However, the level ups were set to RNG. If I set my hit dice to 30, the game rolls between 15 and 30 for my health gain plus my endurance modifier. So 2 characters with identical play at level 26, well, one could have 855 health and another with 400 or maybe even a little less. And one character could have gained 100 attributes while another would have gained 150 to spend. And there's nothing you can do about this beyond save scumming. Fast forward to Morrowind and Oblivion, and you can no longer just pick where your attribute goes. The attribute increases are now based on what skills you increase during that level. In Morrowind, the players use trainers to gain levels for skills that weren't very high, and they use that to gain attributes. I don't prefer that system, but that's a topic for another day. In Oblivion, the system works like this. At level up, I get to choose 3 attributes to increase. The amount that those attributes go up by is dependent upon how much each of these skills increase per level. If I gained a total of 10 alchemy, conjuration, and mysticism together, then I will get plus 5 to intelligence. If I only gained plus 4 in mercantile, speechcraft, and illusion, and it's a combination of these 3 skills, it doesn't matter if it's all 4 illusion or 2 speechcraft, 2 mercantile, any order, then I will have the option to increase my personality by plus 2. After you decide which ones to increase, all of those bonuses go away, it resets, and you start over for your next level. This means that if you had grinded out your skills, you could gain plus 5 to 3 different attributes, and if you did a really bad job, you might only gain plus 2 to 3 different attributes. The breakpoint, as you can see for the bonuses, are 1, 5, 8, and 10. So at 1 increase, you get plus 2, which is basically nothing. At 5 increases, you get plus 3. At 8 increases, plus 4. And 10, plus 5. So conceptually, it sounds cool. To raise your strength, you have to swing weapons. What you do impacts your player. That sounds cool. Well, what went wrong? Why is the perception of this system so negative? Well, first, the game has difficulty spikes. The game separates enemies into brackets. Adult clan fears appear at level 13. They can appear at level 11 as a boss enemy, so at the top of an Oblivion gate you might fight a Clanfear at level 11. They deal 36 damage, have 180 health, as well as 20% reflect damage. This gives them an effective health of 225 against physical attacks. And it just about guarantees you'll take at least 45 damage just from the reflect when fighting them. Here, let's watch my character at level 11 with low attributes fight a Clanfear. So let's see how this character with low attributes does against a Clanfear. This I did not efficiently level here, so I might be in danger. Oh man, should I block? Power attacks maybe? What's gonna do it? Oh, it's close, it's close. Am I gonna win? I beat him. Whew, that was a close one. At the start of the game, it's very easy, like the tutorial, but when you get to these brackets and you fight a new enemy type, it can be very difficult. And what happens to new players is they didn't focus on the attribute leveling system. For example, maybe they only gained 2 strength every level when they could have been gaining 5 strength every level, and they determined, well, this must be why my character can't handle this difficulty spike. Here, let's listen to some other creators explain the problem in their words.
If you make poor choices in leveling up, your character will become relatively weaker than the monsters as your level progresses. Therefore, a given situation will become harder rather than easier, even though you would expect the same situation to be easier for higher level characters.
You heard him right. If you make poor choices in leveling up your character, you will become weaker. This ties into what is called efficient leveling. The wiki is suggesting that in order to become more powerful as you gain levels, you have to guarantee that you are getting the highest possible attribute bonuses. This is only possible with 30 skill increases every single level. On top of that, they have to be 30 skill ups that fall into different attributes. So you can't just level only block, armorer, and heavy armor. Those are all endurance attributes. You have to have a good spread. And if you remember from earlier, you only need 10 skill ups from your major skills to gain a level. This means you need to grind and increase minor skills, which aren't necessarily part of your build, 20 times every single level, possibly more if things aren't falling perfectly into place, to guarantee +5 for all attribute gains. This can be very tedious and actually requires you to kind of track how much you're gaining, or to have a good sense of how much you're gaining every level. Here, let's watch one more time my character lose a fight to something. Will-O-Wisps appear at level 11. They can appear on the road at level 9 or as a boss at level 9. Let's look how my level 11 character handles a Will-O-Wisp. This is a level 11 character. As you can see, Will-O-Wisps do a good job absorbing your health, and so they heal a lot. They're actually pretty difficult to kill. This is not an easy enemy. So, if only I had efficiently leveled. The more astute observer might have noticed both this and the Clanfear have actually been with these attributes. I set all of my attributes to 100 to show that they are not enough to allow you to overcome the leveling problem. Seriously, that footage from earlier where I showed myself with low attributes dying to a Clanfear, or sorry, just barely beating a Clanfear, this is with those same attributes, everything set to 100. The leveling problem is simply a difficulty curve in the original game. Will-O-Wisps, or I should say Will-O-the-Wisp, these enemies are difficult. They use absorb health and absorb magicka, and if you do not nuke them down, they will kill you. I will load my normal character with his normal, inefficiently leveled attributes that are much lower. But instead, with my weapon, I'm going to use a soul gem to put the charge back in my weapon. I'm also going to use my Flame Touch spell. This character uses Destruction and Blade. They're both around level 50, so this is how I deal damage. This character is also a Dark Elf, so could summon an Ancestor Guardian, or could summon a Skeleton because I have the Conjuration skill. Either one of those would help as well. So let's try the test with this character using the tools and resources given to them. We did it. So that very difficult enemy that I could not beat with my efficiently leveled character with all 100 attributes, I did just fine when I utilized the resources given to my character. That wasn't the threat. And you probably even saw in some of my B-roll footage, I used this Staff of Fire that I found in a dungeon and I killed a Will-O-the-Wisp just fine with no trouble. What about that Clanfear with these low attributes? Well, why don't I throw in a weak damage health poison and maybe I'll drink a couple of Restore Fatigue potions.
Remember, this character is level 11. I would only see a Clanfear as a boss enemy at this level. Ooh, he staggered me a lot, dang. Alright, didn't even hurt me halfway. Alright, what about no poison, no potions, but just slightly better play? So let's see if I can do it with just a charged weapon. Man, I did it. I didn't do any crazy exploits, I didn't do anything extra. I could use potions, I could use poisons. You can beat this game using your magic, using your equipment, just using your resources available to overcome the challenges. Okay, well, point one, that you are required to efficiently level to deal with the difficulty problem, that is kind of moot. But the argument goes, sure, I can beat the game without efficient leveling, but wouldn't efficiently leveling give me the most powerful character? This means if I want the most powerful character, I have to grind a ton of minor skills. Well, this is more where math comes in, and let's talk about the math. First, for every playstyle, skills are more important than attributes. 1 point of blade skill provides 3 times more damage than 1 point of strength. Gaining the last 20 points of destruction skill reduces your spell costs by more than 50%, meaning you are effectively doubling the amount of spells you can cast. Gaining 30 more intelligence is only 60 more magicka, which is, what, a 10-20% gain? And again, you might be thinking, but I want the most skills and the most attributes. Won't efficient leveling give me the most of both? Well, there's a problem here. Personality doesn't really do anything. And here, let's look at the spreadsheet. We have a level 1 Dark Elf. This would be his starting attributes, assuming you pick Strength and Endurance as your favorite attribute because they're the best attribute. Each race starts with 280 total attributes out of 700. We're not going to include Luck. Luck is very weak. It's not worth your time ever for any build. It's completely worthless late game, and it's very mediocre early and mid game. Not worth your time. Never pick Luck. It's stupid. Out of the real attributes, this character needs 420 increases to get them all to 100. If I don't include personality, that's only 350 increases. By mid-game, if you've been completing quests, your character will have enough fame and infamy that characters will just like you. At worst, you'll have to use a short duration charm spell or to bribe people, but personality is not an important attribute. It's incredibly weak. You're thinking about these 6 attributes, the one I put in yellow. Well, if you're efficiently leveling, meaning you're gaining all +5s every level, by level 25, this is 23 level ups, all of those attributes would be 100. Meaning after that, every level is just personality and luck. Total waste of time. If you choose all +3s, by level 40, everything's 100. +3 is very reasonable to get. It's not that difficult. To get +3, remember, +3 needed 5 skill ups. You get a minimum of 10 skill ups just from your major skills. That's what causes the level up to happen. You only need 15 to get all +3, so that's 5 minor skills. So as long as you are not entirely ignoring your 14 minor skills and you're using them somewhat, you can guarantee 3 +3s every level. You also get to use a trainer for 5 skill ups. Getting +3 is very easy, and I do recommend it. You should put some effort into your attributes. It's kind of nice to get a little bit more. They do make your character more powerful. If you want a powerful character, you should be aiming for +3s. I will say if you exclude one attribute, for example, this character, my Spellblade, has no purpose for agility. It's not going to help him. If I'm not including agility, I will still get everything to 100 by level 34, except agility, personality, and luck. All this efficient leveling is gaining you is your weakest attributes. That's it, because you're going to get all the ones you need to 100 no matter what your boosts are, even if you're getting only +2. Starting from 40, it makes sense. If you put +2 into the 3 you care about the most every level, well, by level 31, that's +60 to those 3 attributes. So at bare minimum, if you are putting 0 effort completely into the leveling system, you still get 3 attributes, which should be strength, intelligence, and endurance, because they're the only good attributes, to 100. If you put a bare minimum moderate amount of effort, you get all 6 of them to level 100. But wait, says the noob. What about endurance? Well, if you get perfect levels +5 every level, at about 11, the bonus feels pretty good. But as you get to that late game, 454 versus 428, you can see by level 20, this is only a 26 health difference. This is meaningless, totally inconsequential, not important at all. I do recommend you level endurance first. The health bonus gains from endurance are not retroactive. If you've never played Oblivion, just ignore all that. It doesn't matter. You can seriously just go to a trainer, train block 5 times every level, and that's a guaranteed +3 endurance every level. And this is something you never ever have to worry about. And by level 20, it's 100, you can train something else. Okay, the first misconception is that efficient leveling is required to deal with a level scaling problem. I demonstrated it is clearly not. While attributes do boost your player power, it's not enough to help you overcome the will of the wisp or the clan fear. You need to use enchantments, power attacks, blocking, poisons, potions, spells, something. The second misconception is that efficient leveling actually increases your player power, especially late game. That is not true. You are spending a lot of time grinding, so late game you have extra personality and luck. That's it. However, there are people who want to see that +5 number. I will concede that simply offering it does cause some people distress. And in my opinion, the game would be better if it simply did not offer a +4 or +5 option and it capped out at +3. However, there is still misconceptions even around efficient leveling. People seem to think that the best way to efficiently level is to choose 7 major skills that you have no intention of using, and then to only use your minor skills except maybe one of them.
Near the start of the game, you're required to pick a class or create your own. In this process, you'll choose your major and minor skills. This is the biggest trap in the entire game. Makes sense, pick the skills you use most as major skills, but in reality, you shouldn't pick skills you use often as your major skills.
The first rule of min-maxing in Oblivion is to throw away the notion that the abilities you plan to use are in your class.
Okay, if you're ever actually going to torture yourself with efficient leveling, the way to do it is to pick a skill from each attribute. That leaves you 2 minor skills in each attribute that you can grind up. You just do that at the start of a level. So if this was my character build because I actually want to wear heavy armor, use a sword, and cast destruction spells, well, right away at level up, I might stand there and make 100 potions until I've gained 10 alchemy. Intelligence is done. I have my +5, and maybe I won't spam a bunch of conjuration for that level. Do I want to gain willpower? Spam alteration spells. After that's gone up 10 times, maybe don't spam a bunch of destruction spells and I'll be leveling my blade. I want to do speed. Literally, you go under a bridge and you spam the jump key 1,000 times until your brain melts and you feel like you're going to die. After you've gained those 30 skill ups, then you just play the way you want to, and then you gain a level. People have this weird impression in their head that you can't waste skill ups. Like, oh no, I've gained 10 alchemy. That means I can't cast any summons because if I accidentally gain a conjuration, that's the end of the world. If you're efficiently leveling or not, it doesn't matter. This is never true.
This is why my Morrowind follow-up video there was footage of me naked running around Oblivion punching clan fears. I have to leave Oblivion to level, and since I can't risk underleveling, well, the armor has to go. If you want to absolutely level efficiently, then you need to keep a spreadsheet of your levels at the start of each level and track each skill up and keep track of the attributes you're raising. And you can't use skills that you aren't currently trying to raise, so if you aren't raising intelligence this level, you can't use alchemy. If you aren't raising agility, you can't use lockpicks. It's evil. It's absolutely evil. Your choices are to either ignore the broken system and pay the price, or starve yourself of content, or torture yourself trying to min-max.
Sorry, I let that one go on a bit too long. I like to make fun of Patrician TV. Here's somebody else too.
It goes way beyond your choices in leveling up, and actually breaks down to every minuscule action you perform. Not just in combat, but just about everything you choose to do in the game. Yes, even walking in a straight line contributes to the leveling problem.
So this is another one where a spreadsheet is more effective than gameplay. This is just a complete misconception about the numbers. You can look at any attribute and they are governed by 3 skills. Assuming you pick one of them and only one of them as a major skill, you will have 2 of them as minor skills. The highest a minor skill can start is 20. That's if you have a racial bonus of +10 and you choose it as your specialization for +5. So let's say athletics is 20, acrobatics is 15. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter which attribute we're talking about. In this example, we'll do speed because I don't want to cover the whole screen with every single attribute. If you start with 40 speed, you need 60 speed to get to level 100. Well, that's 12 level ups of +5, and if each level up to get +5 requires 10 skill ups, that means there's 120 skill ups required to get +5 every single level. You have a total of 235 skill ups available between those 3 skills, even if you pick light armor as a major. If you take light armor out of the picture, meaning you're assuming you're grinding athletics and acrobatics 10 times, to make sure you're going to have a +5 before you even start using any other skills, I still have 165 skill ups. This is like the worst case scenario. They should be at 5 and 10 if I'm being realistic. That means for the good scenarios where I don't pick them as specializations, I don't have racial bonuses, for the 2 minors within those attributes, I easily have 60-ish skill ups to waste. If I accidentally level athletics 65 times, I still have exactly enough to never even use light armor. Not to mention, you can use them a little bit. If I really was worried, oh no, these are both at 100 and I've only got 9 skill ups, I could throw on a bunch of light armor and let a guy hit me. Remember, a level up doesn't happen until you've increased your major skills 10 times. I could switch this up to willpower. The Dark Elf has +10 to destruction. If I don't pick magic specialization, I need 140 skill ups. I have 190. I can still waste 50, and I'm not even talking about wasting 50 destruction. I'm talking about wasting 50 just between the 2 minor skills. If I pick magic as a specialization, I still have a ton to waste. It is totally fine to efficiently level by grinding up your minor skills 10 times for the 3 attributes you want to level, and then just using your major skills and forgetting about it. It's still not a great experience because it involves grinding and power leveling. And I think my favorite part about Oblivion's leveling system is that it encourages you to not power level. If you just gain 40 levels in alchemy, you just lost a lot of potential attributes because you gained way too much alchemy. Yeah, I said here you can waste 40. You can't waste 90. If you just gain 100 alteration, go from 5 to 100 standing there spamming it, it's actually going to be kind of hard to raise your willpower later. You shouldn't power level in Oblivion. It does make this system not work very well. I also have to point out, I don't like to efficiently level. It's not very fun if you play where you are aiming for +3 attribute gains every level rather than +5. Well, you only need 5 skill ups per level, so instead of a 2-to-1 ratio, it's a 5-to-3 ratio. The math isn't important, but what I want to show you is that if I'm leveling my strength this way, I only need 100 skill ups to go from 40 to 100 strength. Because 60 strength would happen over 20 levels, every level I would need 5 skill ups amongst these. With weapon skills, if I pick a combat specialization, in this example, I'm a Dark Elf and I pick Blade as a major skill. This is what my starting skills would look like. This is how many skill ups I would have. I'm also going to be leveling Blade. This means there are 240 available skill ups and I only need 100. You can waste 140 skill ups. You are never worried about accidentally using 7 skill ups instead of 5. Okay, but there's one thing I haven't fully addressed yet, so we have to circle back. Why exactly should you not make your class backwards? This is going to take a while and I'm going to go on some tangents, but by the end I think this question will be fully answered. I've already talked about how you aren't really gaining anything beyond personality and 26 health from efficient leveling, and how even if you want to efficiently level, you don't ever have to stop playing the game by taking off your armor or anything insane like that. I also demonstrated that simply having 100 in each attribute, it won't be enough to take on mid-game enemies, much less late-game enemies. The player power has to come from skills, equipment, spells, so forth and so on. In fact, skills are significantly more valuable than attributes, and because of that, that's exactly why you should not play Oblivion backwards. And when I say backwards, specifically what I mean is, many people believe that in order to make a powerful character, or the most powerful character, you should choose major skills that you never intend to use. Some people tweak this, like Patrician TV used heavy armor, but he didn't use his other 6 major skills. And I know I've picked on him a bit in this video. I try to talk about others too because I don't want to just target him. I want to explain that this is a pervasive myth. Many people believe this. I have received dozens of comments across my videos using this reasoning to explain why the Oblivion leveling system is objectively bad, broken, and evil. This type of thinking is so deep-rooted in metagamers for Oblivion that some people think you should literally pick the worst race for your class because something attributes.
For instance, if you want to play as a wizard wearing wizard robes, which are not armor, and using magic entirely, you actually probably wouldn't want to pick an Altmer or a Breton. Those are 2 races which are already naturally inclined towards magic. What you'd actually want to pick is something like a Redguard or a Nord. Redguards and Nords already have lower magic skills, but they're very high in endurance and they're high in strength. It makes your character much better able to deal with the continuing difficulty of the game as you level up. Likewise, if you're going to play a warrior, choosing a race like Breton, which has a high intelligence and willpower right from the get-go.
To anyone knowledgeable about Oblivion, this should seem absurd on its face. A level 1 High Elf has the same magicka as a Nord with maximum 100 intelligence. So efficiently leveling a Nord, it doesn't matter. You could gain +1 intelligence one time on the High Elf and they're already a better mage. This is from a popular guide on Oblivion. It's telling players how to deal with the difficulty problem by picking the wrong race. This isn't Skyrim. Your race actually matters, and I promise a Nord mage is a terrible pick. If you want to be a tanky mage, you pick Breton. If you want to deal more damage, you pick High Elf. Those are the two best options for pure mage, and it's not even close. If you're RPing or looking for a more difficult run, fine. But if it's metagamer guide advice that's telling you how to deal with the difficulty, it is backwards. This line of thinking is so common for Oblivion, to give people shit-ass advice that actually makes the game more difficult. It drives me insane. I've never experienced this with World of Warcraft, Diablo 2. In any other game I've played, metagamers are normally hundreds of times more skilled than casuals. There is no comparison. It's orders of magnitude better. But for some reason with Oblivion, it's the opposite. The metagamers are worse than casuals. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I should probably debunk his advice more if I'm going to rant about it like this. Let me explain. All right, this is assuming a lot of things. It's assuming that you pick the mage birth sign. It's assuming you're getting +2 endurance and +3 intelligence every level for both races. It's assuming identical gameplay. The only difference here is one's a Nord, one's a High Elf. If you were getting +5 endurance every level with both of them, the health differences would be smaller. If you didn't pick the mage birth sign, a Nord would only start with 60 magicka. You'd functionally be unable to play a mage. It'd be a very bad experience. But look at these health differences. At every stage of the game, the Nord has a little bit more health. It's not that big of a deal. But at level 31, with 100 intelligence, the Nord has the same magicka pool as a level 1 walking out of the sewers High Elf. The High Elf is such a better choice for a mage. It is not even close. There is no comparison. In no universe should you pick a Nord mage and call that the better, more optimal, powerful player option. Magicka is damage in this game due to custom spell making. 100 destruction skill makes spells cost 1/5 the amount of what they would cost at 33 destruction skill. So the High Elf starting with higher magic skills gives them even more advantage. It's an even better deal. There is no universe where Nord is ever a better choice, or Redguard. I don't know if this guy's just obsessed with having like a Black Harry Dresden or Hitler's Wizardly Wet Dream, but as a guide, I feel like you have a duty to not answer a question that badly. Hey, I want to be a mage, which race should I play? Not a Nord, not a Redguard. Those are the two worst options. Well, except a Wood Elf, those are the worst options. Always. But seriously, pick one of the mage races unless you think this game is so easy and it doesn't matter which one you're picking. Now, this brings me back to the larger question. What about major skills? If I want to be a spell sword who uses a claymore, destruction magic, restoration, illusion magic, wears heavy armor, shouldn't I avoid each of these as a major skill? Should my build be blunt, alteration, light armor, mysticism, hand-to-hand, marksman, speechcraft, right? As I've already mentioned, this is a major theme in my comment sections, and I've shown clips of both EFI TV and Patrician TV talking along these lines. Many of the commenters say something along the lines of, no, I understand the system. That's why I don't like it. They like rebut me before I even say anything. No. Before you say I don't understand the system, I get it. It wants me to play backwards. This is a symptom of Oblivion having the worst metagamers of all time. Oh gosh, I'm getting ahead of myself again and starting with the conclusion. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's just take a moment. We're going to compare two sample builds. We'll say, why not? They're both Dark Elves. And on the one on the left, the Old Knight is using all of those as major skills. The build on the right is still using those skills, but didn't put any of them as major skills. This is the level difference that they start at. If we compare these builds at various times in the game, well, at level 1, obviously the build with 40 skill is going to do way more damage. 1.5 more damage, 2.4 to 3.9. This is because strength at level 1 is going to be the same, but the blade skill is 20 higher for being a major skill. Well, if you've ever played Oblivion, you know that major skills level way faster than minor skills. It is almost twice as fast. It's very significant and it's very noticeable. On top of that, if you are efficiently leveling, you're going to be using Blade. Let's say you picked Blunt as a major skill, you're going to be splitting your levels between hand-to-hand and Blade. You probably noticed at every stage of the game here, at literally every moment of the game, those 4 checkpoints, I am doing more damage with Blade as a major skill than a character who did not choose Blade as a major skill. This isn't just true for Blade. I will have more heavy armor skill, meaning I will have more armor and I will have higher spell effectiveness. I will have a higher armorer skill, meaning I can repair magic equipment way faster, which is a massive power boost. I will have higher destruction skill, which will allow me to cast 2, 3, 4, or even 5 times as many spells. Same with restoration. And I'll have higher athletics. Why not? I'll run faster. And you might think, wait, but to get +3 strength every level, you have to do a little bit of off leveling, as in leveling minor skills to guarantee that. That's true. I want to show you how fast it is to level hand to hand from 5 to 10. This is right in the tutorial. I start at skill level 5, I go through it, and I get to skill level 10 really quick. If you only need 5 skill ups per level, what happens is your off skills, your minor skills that you're using to get those attribute levels, level very slowly. For example, if at level 1 I have 5 hand to hand, and level 2 I have 10, level 3 I have 15, level 4 I have 20, what happens is in Oblivion, by the time you get to level 30 or 40, skills start to slow way down. The amount of experience required is exponential. And so efficient leveling actually feels good right at the beginning. And it's not the worst idea to do it for level 1, 2, 3, maybe level 4. But as soon as those minor skills get to 40, even 50, well, because minor skills level so slowly, it will really take a long time. And that's why you're going to be switching back and forth between Blade and hand to hand. You're going to do whichever one is lower. And it's going to take hours and hours of grinding anyway. It will be a very, very bad experience. And because your Blade skill will always be lower, your character is going to be weaker. Now, there is an argument that, hey, wait, but at level 11, does my Blade skill have to be weaker? Well, you're not going to grind your Blade skill up to 80 or 90 when you chose it as a minor skill, because then how are you going to get +5 strength every level? The only argument is that you would get strength to 100 by efficient leveling, and then you would spend hours and hours just attacking like Shadowmere or the guides at the Pararite Shrine, grinding and grinding to get your Blade skill to 100. This is an incredibly min-maxy, boring way to play, and remember, all you are getting for this is personality and luck late game. There is no value for this late game, so you would be grinding for hours and hours instead of just playing the game to gain 26 health and personality. Total waste of time, not needed to beat the game, will not make the game feel any easier. You could just pick Blade as a major skill. Seriously, look at these numbers. If I start with 5 skill, I need 2,152 swings of my Blade to get it up to level 40. Where that Dark Elf at level 1 with the combat specialization and Blade as a major skill just starts there. I'm over 2,000 Blade swings ahead. To get from 40 to 70, a minor skill, 6,500 swings that connect with an enemy. That is a long time. Even 3,000 is a very, very long time, but that's going all the way from 40 to 70. This is a big chunk of the game. And then getting from 70 to 100, that's another 5,500 swings. This is like the entire playtime. This happens after an entire playthrough of natural play, you get to this point. You've done like 3 different faction quest lines all the way through and the main quest. And maybe you're going to wrap up a few more on this character, but 100 Blade without training takes a very, 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 very long time. As a minor skill, it's just not feasible. It is not happening for any reason unless you are just so determined that you're going to grind it out no matter what. But those people saying this is a bad experience, of course it's a bad experience. You are not supposed to use your minor skills like this. You are supposed to use your minor skills a little bit, like I did punching those rats, to get a better strength bonus. That's it. And you only need to gain 5 skills to get a +3 bonus. If you've ever played Oblivion, you know that as an efficient leveler, you will probably just simply accept that your skills are low, but eventually they will get higher. Because you're so focused on attributes, you miss the bigger picture, which is your skill levels, where if you just picked them as a major skill, you wouldn't have to do. This is why Patrician TV in his playthrough, playing this way, putting his major skills as skills that he would never use, he ended up using the duplication glitch to make a bunch of sigil stones to buff his character, and a duplication glitch to make a bunch of a really powerful poison to basically kill every enemy in one hit. Again, I'm bringing up Patrician TV, but it's the perfect example. That video's got 6 million views. Everybody's seen it. It's out there.
I spent the first hour of the game running around Lake Rumari, picking Nernrit and punching mud crabs to train my hand-to-hand at high difficulty, because in order to train effectively, I need the crabs to survive several hits.
And he had to fiddle with the difficulty every 5 minutes. He had to punch mud crabs for an hour. He says those words himself. It looks like an awful time. He has a bad time. Of course he has a bad time. That is a terrible way to play the game. I hope looking at this spreadsheet right here highlights for you, your character will be weaker than mine at every single stage of the game. Every single stage. And you might be imagining, oh, no, by level 20, I'll just grind out my blade to 100. You're really going to go hit 11,000 enemies? You're going to swing your sword 11,000 times. No, the fuck you're not. I don't know why you think you're going to do that. You shouldn't. What a fucking nightmare. And all you got for all that work is a bunch of personality. Congratulations. Maybe a few points in luck at the end. Last thing on this topic I want to show, if you are going for +3 strength every level, this is how many punches you have to do going into that level up. So obviously at level 0, you're not punching anything. But during level 1, you'd have to punch 48.7 times at level 2 to get a +3 bonus when you level up. If you're going for +5, well, it's 3 times as much. And look at how quickly it skyrockets out of control into how many times you need to punch an enemy to get a +5 bonus. Your 10th +3, if you're only doing 5 times per level, is comparable to your second +5 bonus and how many punches you need. It is not that bad. And yeah, 400 might seem like a lot, but you can switch to blunt. You can switch to blade. You are not only dependent upon hand-to-hand. You have 3 skill options. And yes, you have 3 skill options with the +5 way, but typically with efficient leveling with the +5 way, you're not using your major skill. So you have to split it between only 2 skills instead of 3. If you need to gain a total of 60 strength, that means you need to gain. So this one right here, you still need to do that with both hand-to-hand and blunt if you're not using, for example, blade, which would be your major skill. That is so many punches, 2,000 punches, not to make your character more powerful in terms of gaining more skill and overcoming the systems of the game, but to get 2 more strength that level. It is in no way ever worth it. Okay, moving on. All right, all these guides suck, so what should you actually do? Well, as I've already said, make a class based on what you intend to do, but don't entirely ignore attributes. If you want to increase strength, take out your fist for a minute or 2. If you want to increase endurance and your health, well, honestly, use a trainer early game. You can block, repair your equipment, or wear heavy armor. It's very straightforward. You have to use the skills that are governed by endurance. This is one advantage of being a heavy armor user. It's not just that you have more armor. The game's more interesting than that. By wearing heavy armor, it's easier for you to increase your endurance. Are you a mage? Well, sorry, it's way harder to increase your endurance. You don't just move faster in light armor, it's a speed skill. So when you increase your light armor, you will increase your speed by more on level up. One good tip is to never pick all 3 skills that are tied to a single attribute. Honestly, this is kind of a flaw in the system. In a perfect system, there might be 4 skills per attribute instead of 3. Possibly major skills would gain a bonus to attribute gains like double or something similar. And maybe +5 would simply be removed as an option, so the OCD players wouldn't torture themselves punching mud crabs for 2 hours, just so they could get a few personality bonuses late game. Speaking of that, when I say that players don't need to efficiently level, I often hear the rebuttal, so the leveling system doesn't matter and it can be ignored. Well, no, it will punish you for power leveling, and it also punishes you for efficiently leveling. Your character will be weaker if you just run through a bunch of farms and get alchemy to 100. It will be harder to raise intelligence later, and you won't gain good attributes while you're doing that. It also punishes you for efficiently leveling. Are you spending hours punching mud crabs instead of playing the game? Well, now your hand-to-hand skill is going to be absurdly high, even though it's not a skill you use, and you did that just for 5 strength for 1 level. It's not enough. You've been wasting your time, and your character is now harder to increase your strength later. And you didn't gain your blade skill, which is actually the weapon that you're using and trying to do damage. You're not using your major skills, you're going to be weaker. If you try to fight the system and go against it, you're going to have a bad time. You want to lean into the leveling system, play alongside it. Don't fight against it, don't ignore it, don't try to skip it, don't power level, don't efficiently level, just play the game. Understand that, yeah, if you're a blade user, using an axe for 2 minutes will get you a +3 strength bonus. That's nice. Take advantage of that. Just like you saw, it took me less than a minute to get a +3 strength bonus. It doesn't take a long time. That's literally all the system is encouraging you to do. Take a few minutes each level, make some potions, cast some spells, pick some locks, add some variety to your game. If you waste a few skill points, it won't matter. That only matters if you're efficient leveling. You will have hundreds of skill points to waste, and you don't have to pick the attributes, and it's not going to bite you in the butt later. As for how to overcome the difficulty spike, well, I've made videos on this, but a quick explanation is enchant your equipment, use magic of some kind, whether that's a potion, poison, summon, or weakness spell, paralyze, drain health, whatever. You have tons of options. Some of them are easier than others. Weakness is probably the easiest one. Get weakness to shock, put shock enchant on your weapon, boom, you've beat the game. But simply just walking forward and clicking, well, it doesn't work in this game. You have to do something beyond that. And I don't think that makes the game broken or evil. Okay, so why all the misconceptions? Why are the metagamers so bad? There must be something wrong with Oblivion for this to happen. Oblivion and its leveling system are not perfect. First, the game does a bad job communicating its systems. And not just explaining to a noob how the system functions, but even for an experienced player, there's nothing to track your skill ups or expected attribute gains. Ideally, when I'm in this menu, if I hovered over strength, somewhere over there it would say, oh, you have an expected +3 bonus because you've gained 5 out of 10 skill ups. But there's nothing indicating that. There's a mod that puts a book in your inventory. It's like a diary that you can use. You can use this console command here, set debug text 10, and you get all this on your screen. So this is in the system, like the game is tracking it. You see in the middle there, attribute skill count, advancement number 1, strength 5. I went to a trainer and I trained my blunt skill 5 times, so I know a +3 bonus is coming. That information, it should be right here. Oh God, I need to get this off my screen. That information should be right here. It should say 5 +3 expected. Like something like that, some information. It should just be in the game. That would make the game objectively better. I thought about spending a section to talk about scaling and the level scaling and items in the game. All you need to know is functionally how it works is there's an 8 level gap. That's the maximum gap you can ever see between two enemies. So a civilized 22, because of that, you'll never see a level 13 clan fear, well, except a civilized summon, in the same space. That's why you don't see the lower level enemies anymore. That number 8 should probably be higher. That's also a flaw of Oblivion's system. I have lots of problems with the scaling system, so I don't want to go too much into that. That's a different system. You could also argue it's a little bit too punishing. Maybe major skills should provide +2 skill ups instead of +1 for your attributes. Maybe the +5 bonus should be totally scrapped because there are people with OCD and they see that there's a better bonus they could get, even if it means grinding for hours and having a miserable time. I could get +1 more bonus. I could get +1 more, so I'm going to totally destroy my character and play in the worst way possible and have the weakest character ever for every stage of the game because maybe I can get +1 more personality. And people do it. And then they blame the game. So maybe just removing that terrible option as a choice wouldn't be the worst thing. I think when you look at the design philosophy of Oblivion's leveling system, it lines up so well with the skill progression system. When I swing my sword, not only do I get better at swinging my sword, but my character also gets physically stronger. They gain the strength attribute. When I cast destruction spells, I regenerate magicka faster. I don't just get cheaper destruction spells or better destruction spells. It improves my character for all magic. That type of progression is very interesting, very cool, very fun. And the entire point of the system, well, this is not a party RPG. You are not a thief. You are the champion of Cyrodiil, the hero of Kvatch, the Archmage of the Mages Guild, Guildmaster of the Fighters Guild, champion of the arena, the listener of the Dark Brotherhood. Hell, you mantle Sheogorath himself, and you are a divine crusader all at the same time. This is one character. You are meant to use your minor skills throughout this game. A warrior doesn't ignore every locked chest. If he wants agility, he can pick a damn lock. A thief still has to fight and kill. They're not just sneaking around all the time. Mankar Cameron's not going to let you walk past him. Oblivion is designed intentionally with the idea that you can do every faction with one character, and not the way Skyrim is. Skyrim is designed where there's no challenge except combat. You don't need stealth or persuasion. In Oblivion, you do, but there's multiple ways to achieve this. And if one of them is too difficult, you can level up that skill no matter what. If it's a minor skill, it just takes longer if it's not part of your class. Your class makes a massive difference, but it's never limiting your character to anything. This is the same with Morrowind. It's the same design in Daggerfall. 3 Elder Scrolls games in a row have this same exact design. I'm sad that Skyrim changed from that. I'm sad that the remaster kind of scrapped that totally for the Oblivion remaster. Instead of your class system being a totally different way to play, there's just no classes anymore. There's no reason to make a new character. Even though one character could do everything in Oblivion, a High Elf Atronach feels way different than a Nord Warrior. There's no similarity there. It feels so different, even though everyone can complete every challenge in the game. And the last thing I'll say is I really liked what Lyle Shnub here said.
They deliberately do want to make a lot of changes, not just artistically, but mechanically. They look at Morrowind and they see it as sort of inherently bad, or at least a problem that needs fixing. What these games, they completely change like the very fabric of the mechanics of the game, wherein combat plays out very differently. The mechanics of, like, like there's perks now. There's perks in Skywind when perks do not exist in baseline Morrowind. In some way, it is a refutation of what existed in Morrowind. You're just sort of picking and choosing the part of the creative body and sort of making it into something that's more palatable for you personally. Okay, how much were you into this game? How much are you into this hobby when you don't want to taste like the raw old stuff? Some would argue that nasty old Morrowind funk. Some folks are a little scared of it. They don't want to bother to learn like the intricacies of the game and how to play it or enjoy it or whatever. They don't want to approach it in that way.
He's talking about Morrowind, but it's really upsetting when people who don't even like the game they are remastering or remaking, they're the ones who come in and decide to change it. The people who made Oblivion Remastered didn't even like the original Oblivion. If you see Morrowind or Oblivion or Daggerfall as inherently bad, just play something else. There's a million fucking Souls games. Play another Fallout game, play another looter shooter, play The Witcher 3, play whatever. Daggerfall, Morrowind, and Oblivion actually truly did something special and unique and great. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you've seen me make all of these points before. You've heard all of these talking points. There's not really anything new, but it is still frustrating. After I made my last video about the Oblivion Remastered, there was so much pushback just against the idea that the leveling system in the original Oblivion game isn't broken. And I don't mean like it's good. I'm not trying to convince anybody that their opinion is wrong or something weird like that, nope, this is objectively a good system, but it's different, it's unique. And when you have a system in a video game that is unique like this, that very, very few other games have even tried, the right thing to say is not, oh, well, no one else tried it because it's such a bad system. The right thing to do is for a remaster to leave it, because it is something that is fundamental that makes the game what it is. I know a lot of you like to mod it out, and that's fine. You don't like this game, you don't like Oblivion for what it is, and you wanted to play something different. A lot of people who aren't Oblivion fans came in and said, oh, the remaster's great. I hated Oblivion, but I like the remaster because it's not like Oblivion. That's fine, have whatever opinion you want, but I just don't think that's a place for a remaster to do something like that. I think that's wrong. I don't think a remaster should make that choice. Oh, he silenced me. We're in trouble. I think that the right thing for a remaster to do is to keep the systems the same, to try and change as little as possible, except the things that are really fundamentally broken, like bugs, like glitches, like a UI could be changed. How many items appear on this menu, that's not fundamental to the Oblivion experience, but how the game plays, how weapons swing, how your character moves, this is pretty unique. There's not very many games where I can move like this, where I attack like this, where all of it feels so smooth, so clean, so different. There's nothing like this. And to just say, you know what, this is bad. It's like, come on, man. You have dog shit taste. You're wrong. Suck a dick. You're a loser. Okay, I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry.
Why did you make me do this?
You're punching mud crabs.
So you can watch everyone around you die. Think, Mark.
And I don't want nobody. And I don't want nobody. You got that right. And I don't